Hello, good morning. But first of all, we begin with some breaking news today, where we're given to understand the captain of Deputy President William Ruto passed on yesterday by a plane crash, that is a chopper crash in Turkana. We have scanty information on this, but of course also we do have a Member of Parliament. This is Richard Onyonka from Kitutu Chache to tell us more about this development. Good morning, Richard Onyonka.
Good morning, Debarl.
Yes, of course, this is sad news that we're waking up to this morning. Will you just give us some details of this, because details are a bit scanty this morning?
Yeah, apparently, Debarl, I was actually preparing to come to your studio this morning.
Yes.
And I just received an urgent call from one of my brothers who's also a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And he just informed me that one of the pilots who've been flying Deputy President William Ruto has crashed coming from Lake Turkana.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have the information what he was coming from doing. I believe he must have been carrying some individuals over the weekend. He disappeared, according to the information that now some of the family members are giving. Of course, I am a family member because the pilot, Captain Mario Magonga,
Mm-hmm.
is actually my first cousin.
Mm-hmm.
The information that has just been dripping in slow bits is that he was coming out of Turkana, then he disappeared off radar. And from the whole of yesterday, they have been searching that area. And sadly, this morning at about 4 o'clock is when the information came that the gentleman had actually crashed, and where they found the wreckage, they actually found his body.
So they did find his body, and you mentioned that you're not privy if he was really carrying some other passengers as well. So is he the only one that, is it the only body that was found?
Actually, as I said, the information is dripping in very small bits, and
right.
We've been trying to get in touch. The family is trying to get in touch with the Deputy President's office and all the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority to try and get more information. What I know is that the wife has been informed, and the mother, I shudder to think what is going through her mind. The mother, who lives in Kitale, has also been informed, and I believe all the family members have also been informed. And when I received the call, I'm actually I'm on my way to go and meet my brother and some other family members to find out what exactly has gone on.
And also you mentioned to me earlier that this pilot, of course, is an experienced consummate pilot, and he's been flying Deputy President William Ruto for the last 10 good years.
I can tell you, Debarl, that Mario was, I think, one of the best helicopter pilots in Kenya that money could buy. Mario was cleared to fly from Barack Obama to State Department officials, from the U.S. to the American ambassador to many other people who came in. In other words, Mario had been given a special clearance to fly people for the EU. Mario was one of the best that really money could train. And for me to hear that he came down is a very, very painful. I think I would really pray that, first of all, I want to pass my condolences to the family. Number two, thorough and proper investigations must be done, because to me, these accidents, remember, Debarl, when we were talking in your show the other day, we were saying, oh, these accidents are just happening too many in Kenya. And we need to find out why, because I'm not sure that it has a lot to do with training. I just think we need to find out exactly why is it that we are having very frequent air accidents. And I hope that the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority and the NTSA will be able to handle this matter, and then we get to the truth of it.
All right. Thank you very much, and our deepest and sincere condolences and our sympathies this morning to you, and of course the family of Mr. Mario Magonga. Of course, this is a story that we are putting tails on, so information is still coming, of course, in drips and drabs this morning. That's the scanty information that we have this morning, and that is the Member of Parliament of Kitutu Chache, that is Richard Onyonka, who actually, Mario Magonga, he was his cousin, and actually following up this particular story, they're heading to see what the family will actually be also condoled with, and of course just give us support and their sympathies as well. So this is a story that is developing. We shall be giving you all the gritty details much later also in the course of the day. But the bitter back and forth over the loss of funds for the construction of dams in Elgeyo Marakwet County continues. Deputy President William Ruto has told of his critics, saying the ongoing war on graft has turned political. At the same time, leaders want the Deputy President questioned over his claims that only 7 billion shillings of it dams funds were stolen.
Deputy President William Ruto is still pushing back against the torrent of accusations about his possible involvement in the 21 billion shillings Aror and Kimorer dams scandals. Ruto maintains this amounts to a political witch hunt.
The fight against corruption is carried out by independent institutions with the support of all Kenyans, using factual information, accurate details in courts of law, so that we can bring culprits to book.
The Deputy President has himself gone off his own script of keeping away from political banter, and he is now going after opposition chief Raila Odinga. This even as his allies come to his defense.
Profiling of government projects meant to benefit millions of Kenyans is in itself corruption.
Choka na maneno ya upuzi. Maneno ya damu hii mnakuja mnasumbuka naye sio kwa sababu mnatafuta maneno ya damu. Si tunajua ya kwamba wakati maneno ya JKIA ililipuka, sasa mnataka kufunika na maneno ya damu. Tunataka tuambie nyinyi, my friend, William Ruto ako na watu wao.
Sudi claims that the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga was meant to fix 2022 politics.
Kama hutaki kwenda nyumbani, Mr. President, tell us. Tubadilishe katiba, tukae chini, tuelewane. Lakini maneno ya kukoroga maneno huko kando, mnasumbuka sijui huyu, handshake sijui ile, sijui tunataka tushike huyu, sijui tunataka tufuguse huyu, kwa sababu mnatafuta William Ruto. Mimi nataka niwaambie kinagaubaga ya kwamba Wakenya sio wajinga.
We cannot afford to create a confusion in the country where it appears like part of the opposition is in government and part of government is in the opposition. If we are interested in peace, it must be genuine peace.
Wakati William Ruto alikuwa na support Raila Odinga, hakukuwa mwizi. Wakati alikuja akasupport Uhuru Kenyatta, hakukuwa mwizi. Saa hii bila anataka imefika wakati yake, mnasema ni mwizi.
Even then, leaders have continued to pile on the pressure. They want Deputy President questioned over his remarks that only 7 billion shillings was lost and not 21 billion shillings.
They are admitting that there is a problem, but now they are debating about the quantum of the problem. But why are you in a hurry to make that conclusion? Why aren't you allowing the investigative agencies to do it?
Bilioni 7 kwa Kiswahili ni milioni 7,000. Nyumba hii milioni 2 hapa. Nyumba hii milioni 2. Bilioni 7 nyumba ngapi kama Kisauni yote yanunuliwa hiyo, sivyo?
And as the DP, he should explain how does he arrive at the figure of 7 billion? What interest did he have in that matter? The matter is under investigation. Where did he get the information?
Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Water denies that money was lost in the construction of Itare Dam in Nakuru County that has since stalled.
In Itare Dam, we have not lost a single cent. And I'm talking as a person who sits on the books. Itare Dam is a contractor. We contracted in 2015 who has gone bankrupt. And this happens all the time. And he has gone bankrupt for Italy.
The ANC party now says it will present a plea to the National Assembly Speaker to pass a motion of adjournment to discuss the issue of corruption as a matter of urgency next Tuesday. Daniel Mule, NTV.
And church leaders speaking separately added their voice to the debate on corruption and are proposing ways to end the corruption scourge. Listen to some of the proposed solutions.
If what we are reading in the papers is true, where is Kenya headed? And you know, this is a time we need to be bold and say, let us absorb what we can manage. Let us not go for what we can manage. Begin small.
If we brought all the monies in the Nambrond, it would cater for the debt that we have, and also the budget of the country, and then leave a lot of money for us to spend.
Now, Professor George Magoha takes over the Education Ministry with public service experience and a wealth of academic achievements. Known for his pragmatic and tough style of leadership, he faces an equally tough assignment given the challenges in the education sector. Professor Magoha has his work cut out. His first assignment will be to review the implementation of the competence-based curriculum, which is facing numerous challenges, including poor preparation of teachers, lack of teaching and learning materials, inadequate and weak supervision. Magoha will also be facing the nagging question of lack of funding for free primary and subsidized secondary education. He also has to deal with the shortage of teachers in schools and transfers. Another issue will be to tackle the congestion and resource shortage caused by the high Form 1 admissions. Professor Magoha will also need to deal with ongoing investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission into a multi-billion shilling racket involving the supply and procurement of textbooks of public schools. Magoha also comes aboard as universities are embroiled in a fight with the regulator, the Commission for University Education, over accreditation of programs. For now, Professor Magoha's entry appears to be full. As soon as he steps into his new Jogo House office, the only hurdle remaining before he occupies the space is vetting by Parliament. Somali government troops shot dead 3 Islamist militants holed up in a building in central Mogadishu on Friday, ending a day-long bomb and gun attack that killed at least 29 civilians, according to police. Islamist Al-Shabaab fighters launched their assault with a suicide car bomb outside the Mak Al-Mukarama hotel on Thursday evening. championships panned out in Britain. But this is your splash today. Rotich, this is where 20 billion shillings dams cash went. That is what is on the front page of the Daily Nation. And you might be waking up this morning and you're wondering, what is the breaking news? Well, this is sad news, is that the captain of Deputy President William Ruto, that is Mario Magonga, has passed on through a chopper crash in Turkana. Earlier we spoke to Member of Parliament from Kitutu Church. This is Richard Onyonka, who he gave us an understanding that actually Captain Mario Magonga was his cousin. We're not privy to any information on what really happened, whether it was bad weather that actually brought this particular chopper down. But Captain Mario Magonga has been flying Deputy President William Ruto for the last 10 good years. He's an experienced consummate pilot, and this is a story we're putting tails on. We'll give you all the gritty details as they come through. For now, we just have drips and drabs of information on what really happened. But we shall be also following this, and we'll give you all the story and all the facts about this particular eventuality. And our deepest sympathy and sincere condolences here from NTV for the family of Mario Magonga. For now, we want to buckle down to a discussion with our panelists who are here, and maybe also they can express their sympathies and, of course, their condolences to the family. Richard Onyonka was meant to be here this morning, guys, but apparently, yes, this is information that we have today that his cousin, who happens to be the pilot of Deputy William Ruto, has passed on through a plane crash around Lake Turkana. Good morning, Alice.
Morning, Debarl.
And good to see you.
Good morning, viewers.
Yes.
Okay, I think it is very sad news this morning. And considering that Dr. Mario was, the pilot was a very experienced, as the reports are coming, pilot, one would want to really console the family, the entire family, the immediate and the entire family, and of course the Kenyans, and the family of Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the Deputy President, because there obviously has been a long working relationship between the two. I'm sure the Deputy President must be mourning as well, and therefore I would like to join them. Right. But I think I would want to, it's likely to cause a lot of speculation, and I think Kenyans would want to hear the investigations being taken thoroughly and very timely, prompt, so that speculation that I believe is likely to come up is really countered, or it's put to rest.
Right. Let's hear from Senator Okongo Mogeni. Good morning.
Morning, Debarl. I first also want to pass my message of condolences to the family of Honorable Onyonka's cousin, pilot Captain Magonga, whom we understand died in a plane crash yesterday. You remember, Debarl, last week we were discussing about the safety of our Kenyan skies.
Yes.
And, linking it to to the fact that we need to caution the public not to have the sense that our Kenyan skies are extremely unsafe. And this morning I want to, reassure Kenyans that accidents of choppers happen all the time. I think just 2-3 months ago, the owner of one of the top premier football clubs in London, Leicester, I think the owner died in a plane crash just after lifting off from the Leicester home match that they were playing. So these accidents do happen. I was talking to another captain sometimes back, and they told me that you should always be worried if you are in a chopper. You're safer in a fixed wing aircraft than in a chopper. So we really want to say pole to the family, to Mheshimiwa Onyonka, but also to re-emphasize that accidents do happen. It doesn't mean that the Kenyan skies are extremely unsafe. Yeah.
All right. Let's hear from Jeremiah Kioni.
Morning, Debarl, and thank you for inviting me to this morning program. I want to join my colleagues in mourning the brother to Mheshimiwa Richard Onyonka.
The cousin.
The cousin.
Yes.
Yes, sorry. And Richard Onyonka is actually my neighbor in the offices that we've been given at KICC. And as my colleagues say, it is certainly it touches more than just the cousin, because we have the DP. You know, when you have a person like your driver, your secretary, your pilot, these are people you get to know intimately, and they become very close friends. So I am sure also the DP and his whole office is also experiencing the loss, and we want to mourn them, encourage them, and pray for the family. Yes.
Thank you very much. Right, we want now to buckle down to our discussion to just see how also the political scene played out last week. This is following what happened, of course, with the appointment of the cabinet secretaries, our reassignment and even firing. And also we want to see what has happened so far as the dam, that is what is happening with the Aurora Dam. There is a new development, as you can see on the front page of the Daily Nation this morning, where the cabinet secretary has come forward to actually clarify this and saying no money has been lost. This is where 20 billion shillings went. Let me try and scroll up this headline so that you can see it clearly. It says, Rotich, this is where 20 billion shillings dams cash went. So the question is a take two there? So was it 7 billion shillings or 20 billion shillings? Mr. Henry Rotich says up to 19.8 billion shillings has been paid to different farms involved in various ways with the Aurora and Kimwarer Dam projects, the last payment being towards the end of last year. The amount is 1.2 billion shillings less the 21 billion shillings that the Directorate of Criminal Investigations is pursuing. And Mr. Rotich says the payments were largely fees paid out as part of the conditions to be met before work started on the dams. And you have a related picture there. This is a twist. It says Treasury admits that close to 20 billion shillings has been paid out to various firms in dams projects as man who witnessed contracts for Italian company face ignorance, and DCI Kinoti talks tough. The story is tucked away on page 6 of the Daily Nation this morning. So we want to hear from our panelists, and we'll begin with you, Okongo. Do you think in any way this particular project is being politicized? And people have come forth with different figures and saying, oh, it is not the 21 billion shillings, it's just a measly, so to speak, 7 billion shillings.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally, this is the first time I've seen cracks between the head of state, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and William Ruto. Often the scripts we have seen in the past is that the president and the deputy president have often spoken from the same page. And the DP has been the forefront. If you dig into the news clips you have, he's been in the forefront in urging Kenyans not to politicize the war against corruption. But in this particular case, he's come out as a person who has a keen interest on the ongoings, on the investigations that are being carried out by the DCI, which to me I think is fairly unfortunate, coming from the office of the DP. And you know, Debarl, if you look at the international fight against corruption, the UN Convention Against Corruption, it is this kind of projects that entities that fight corruption are meant to look at keenly and protect the public from entities or personalities that may want to divert resources that are meant to transform the lives of people. And here we are talking about a project that is supposed to supply clean water to the people of Marakwet. And Debarl, if you have been to that region, people are drinking mud water. What the cows take is what the people take. So if you are a leader who cares for the interest of your people, this is something that should concern you. And what we are looking at is like fiction, is like a movie. We are being told here that somebody was paid money in Italy, money is wired to London, and then it's wired back to Kenya, and apparently some people receive that money as kickbacks. I mean, in simple terms, you're looking at a scheme where people are clearly bribed, where some commission ended up into the pockets of some people in this country. And thirdly, when you're talking about the office of DCI, under Article 244 of the Constitution, that's an independent office. And his findings are not an end to himself. Because once he concludes his investigations, he will still have to forward that file to the Director of Public Prosecution, who will then make a finding whether the report that he received from the DCI constitutes a charge that can be sustained in a court of law. I don't see why the DP has come out crying foul even before we get a conclusive report from the DCI. And then he's looking bad. He's telling the people of Kenya that, look, only 7 billion was paid out. In a paid advert, the CS Treasury comes out and says, look, we paid over 20 billion. Now, doesn't that make the DPU lose his moral compass? It doesn't look nice. And I want to make an appeal to him that the person who has captured the Kenyan mood is the DCI. If he can crack it, if he can demonstrate to the people of Kenya that there are people who are given kickbacks, who received bribes to the tune of 4 billion, then he would have really, he would be at the heartbeat of the Kenyan people. I think what we have here is somebody who represents promise and hope to the Kenyan people that for once, accountability is going to the big fish, to the doorsteps of the big fish. I think what I'm seeing from the army that has been put together by the DP is a team that wants to threaten anybody who wants to push for accountability. I think they want to scare off the DCI, tell them that impunity still reigns in this country, there are people who should not be touched, which is not a good thing. I think what we should do as Kenyans is to rally behind the DP, and I think I saw something from the DCI, and he said that he will not investigate at the design and the style of the suspects. That's what the DCI said. And I think we as Kenyans should rally fully behind the DCI. If there is anybody who evidence will come out and prove that he received bribes, let him prove his innocence in a court of law. If at the end of the day, there is nothing linking any Kenyan to this scandal, again, we'll be told by the DCI. But I think as a people, this is good. For once, there is hope among Kenyans that finally, we may crack it in the war against corruption.
Right. We may crack it in the war against corruption. Let's hear from Jeremiah Kioni. Good to see you.
Thank you, Debarl. Once again, thank you for inviting me. I was in Kigali over the weekend, and Debarl, many of the things that I'm seeing, I was also reading them in the media, or from the media, and I want to concur with my colleague that I think this issue of corruption, we must continue fighting it and without any reservation. It is good that we can see the various offices now at work and moving very swiftly. We need to make sure that we have full support, we give them full support and encourage them to, for us to be able to get to the bottom of some of these cadres that are emerging every other day. The office of the DPP, the judiciary, and the president did mention this, I think, last week, that also the office, the judiciary also needs to move with speed and to ensure that it also meets the expectations of Kenyans by not just being timely, but also by the kind of perhaps the fines, the bond, the amount of money that is required for bail and bonds, so that they don't lose the confidence of Kenyans. And I think when I was out in Rwanda or Kigali, one of the things that comes across is, I want to give an example that I needed to charge my phone and I kept it at a distance from where I was. And I was asking the owners of the premises whether I can leave it there while I continue doing something at another corner of the establishment. And they quickly said, yeah, you can leave it. This is not Uganda, this is not Kenya. And I felt a little bit put off. It was a bit stressful. That time they had not established which country I was coming from. And so, Debarl, even as we fight corruption, there is the image, the impression, the kind of character that we give to the nation and to ourselves out there. So even as we fight it, we need to make sure that we don't allow politics to get in the way of fighting it, and we also don't allow politics to ruin our image outside the country. I see the different figures that are out here. We have the 20 billion, and yet we have another 7 billion that has been mentioned by the DP. And I think what we need to understand is the stages that we go through in the process of implementing a project of this magnitude, so that we get to understand exactly when we say 7 billion, what stages of the contract are we talking about? When we say 20 billion, what aspects of the contract are we talking about? Because I don't believe that any of the two gentlemen is out to say anything other than what they understand. I am saying this because I think I see a lot of colleagues from both sides of the political divide, including my neighbor here. We're jumping to say that the fact that different figures have been mentioned by the different parties, there is one hiding a given figure. And I think it is just important that we get to the bottom and like we have read, allow the DCI to really tell us exactly what is what. But you know, the design, the feasibility study of a project, all these figures will be different. And it's important to know, again, what figures are we talking about. So that even as we compete locally, both politically, because corruption, we keep saying we should not politicize. But you see, when you're fighting corruption, you cannot avoid the political angles that come with it. There are people who try to make political capital out of it. Even when we talk about CDF at the constituency level, your competitors would want to use it as a political point to prove that you are not worth the seat for reasons that perhaps money here and there has been lost. So we will not keep politics out of corruption battles. But what I want to underline is that if you go to page 15, I think, you will see an article done by the governor of Central Bank. And the governor of Central Bank is cautioning us all, is cautioning there is much at stake in enforcing integrity of our financial system. There is much at stake when we're fighting corruption. Other than ensuring that we do not lose money as Kenyans, we must also make sure that we also don't create the impression to the international community that there is nothing you cannot carry out investments in Kenya. You cannot. We are so hopelessly corrupt that we cannot be entrusted with anything going forward. So it is important that we allow facts to guide us as opposed to emotions. We must, you know, what the governor is saying as the conclusion, we must not relent in the effort to safeguard our financial system, and I'm sure from potential and actual attacks.
Yes.
So we cannot stop from doing that, but we must make sure that we also don't scare away investors from coming into this country.
Right, thank you.
And because once we scare them away, again, the country suffers for low levels of investment and the rest. But I think we must also tone down the very heavy political statements that I see people saying so and so must resign. We cannot, the DP should not resign over this. The government should not be resigned over this. We must continue fighting corruption. But telling one side to resign is not going to be useful at that level. But I would rather we say very little on the figures, because we should be told of the figures by those people who are now investigating. Let it come out.
Thank you.
Let us learn from it.
Right. When we circle back from a short break, we shall hear from Alice Wahome. But if you're not privy to the breaking news that we have this morning and you're waking up this morning, then this is a news, sad news that is filtering into a studio. This morning, we understand the captain, that is Mario Magunga. This is the captain of Deputy President William Ruto has died following a plane crash, that is a chopper crash at around Lake Turkana. That particular wreckage was found this morning at 4 a.m. and we can see also condolences continue to follow on social media around the death of Captain Mario Magonga. This is the sad news that you're waking up to this morning. Captain Mario Magonga has died following a plane crash at Lake Turkana. He was the pilot of Deputy President William Ruto for the last 10 good years, an experienced and a consummate pilot. We'll take a short break. When we circle back, we continue with the discussion. And of course, also, if we get details of this, which are coming in drips and drabs, we shall actually give you that particular detail or the details for this particular developing story. For now, we'll take a short break. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching This Is a Point here on AM Live. And we continue also with giving you information on the breaking news that we have this morning of Captain Mario Magonga, who was the captain of Deputy President William Ruto, who died this morning following a plane crash along Lake Turkana region. Details are still scanty, but earlier we spoke to Richard Onyonka, who is a member of parliament from Kitutu Chache, who happens to be his cousin. And he told us, of course, even him, he learned of this particular developing story this morning. The wreckage was found this morning at 4 a.m. And I'm given to understand also he's on the line this morning. Richard, good morning again. Very good morning. We spoke earlier, but for the benefit of our viewers who are waking up this morning and they want to get also a full-blown story or the details of this, would you kindly just go through the story again?
Yeah, the accident happened around the Turkana area. Actually, the aeroplane was flying from Lake Turkana coming back to Wilson Airport. The pilot flying it is a young man known as Captain Magonga, who is a retired Army pilot captain, highly trained and highly experienced. We don't have the information yet as to actually what exactly happened. I believe that the Civil Aviation Authority will have to give us the details on what they know. But the information we have is that he was flying back last evening at about 7 o'clock, and he got out of radar, and they were unable to trace him until around 2 a.m. this morning, and that's when they found the wreckage, and it was him, and it is said, I don't have the full evidence, but they said that he had two individuals with him in the plane, and we don't know who these two individuals were.
So they've not been identified so far?
Not yet, not yet. The only thing we know is that he was the one flying the Eurocopter, and it came down.
All right. Do we have the registration of the helicopter so far? Are you privy to that information?
Actually, Debarl, no. What has happened, the information, as I said earlier, the information is trickling in very, very slowly. What I know is that the Kenya Wildlife Service was able to dispatch a helicopter last night to go for the search mission, and that is when they went and found that the plane had come down.
All right.
So as I am right now, we are waiting for further information to be given to the family and to us.
All right, Eurocopter you mentioned, is it hired from Wilson Airport or is it actually a chopper belonging to Deputy President William Ruto?
I don't have that.
You don't have that information?
What I know, it was just a helicopter that he was flying. And yes, indeed, he's been a frequent pilot for the Deputy President. And the information I have, as you ask, we don't even have the registration of the aeroplane, of the helicopter, and any other information except that there were two passengers with him. There were four passengers, meaning it was him and three other individuals.
And I know this is a tragic story for you because it's deeply affecting you, Mario being your cousin. Maybe you can tell us that, how old was Mario, and does he have a young family? Who is he survived by?
Yes, Mario is a first cousin to us. His father was an army man, Brigadier Magonga. Mario was trained after high school and I think college. He got trained by Kenya Army. He was actually a highly qualified Kenya Army helicopter pilot who then, once he worked with the Army for over 10 years, about 10 years, he then came out and he has been flying commercially with many of the helicopter companies at the airport, and he was about 45. Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Richard Onyanka.
He had a very young family, very, very young family. I think the eldest child is about 12.
The eldest child
and
is about 12.
The other two were about 8. Another one was about 6.
Right, a pretty young family. Our deepest condolences and sincere sympathies as well, Richard Onyonka and the entire family of Mario Magonga. And that's the breaking news. We shall be putting tails on this story to give you also more details much later in the course of the program and as well as our subsequent bulletins. But we want to continue apace with the conversation that is ongoing. This is about the dams scandal, new developments so far. Also, we have the CS who has come forward now to clarify about where the 21 billion shillings really went, and that's what's in the front page of the Daily Nation. But also inside the People Daily today, we have this particular splash, how CS forced KVDA to buy land at 6.3 billion shillings. So there's a CS also who was heavily involved on this particular scandal, so to speak, as it is right now. It is understood it to be a scandal until we get this clarification. And it says that a cabinet secretary used his position to force a state agency to buy at massively inflated price 300 acres of land he had bought to resettle people who were to be displaced by the construction of Aror and Kimwarer dams. According to a source privy to the deal, the CS picked the idea from a cabinet resolution which had sanctioned the land purchase proposal. The CS used proxies to buy a 300-acre bush land in Kerio Valley for 1 billion shillings from a senior from Rift Valley region, and later sold it to Kerio Valley Development Authority at 6.3 billion shillings just 2 months after purchasing it. Quote unquote here, it says the CS latched on the opportunity and bought the land and immediately entered into a deal with KVDA to purchase it, in the process making a whooping that supposed to be not a whooping but a whopping. So this is what People Daily has put. A whopping 5.3 billion shillings, said the source, and you can read the rest of the story inside the People Daily this morning. And we're talking about the cabinet secretaries with corruption. Let's hear from Alice Wahome. This particular development, what's your take?
I think I would like to look at this issue from the headlines.
From the headlines?
From the background of the headlines that I'm seeing.
So which headline are you actually looking at?
You know, I'm seeing at headlines reading Raila Ruto war explodes yet again.
This is actually the Standard.
This is the Standard.
Okay.
You
try and lift that.
You look at that headline, then you go to the story itself, which is on page...
Of the Standard?
Yes, of the Standard. The story is on page 19.
Okay.
It speaks of a lot of spat between the Deputy President and the Honorable Raila Odinga. So therefore, when then you look at what happened over the weekend, there were, you know, exchanges between the political leaders, members of parliament, from the Jubilee government, and also from the ODM. It tells you that it's not just about any money lost. It's about, and they are speaking, and you know they are saying, you know, you are using this so that you can paint one person, so that you can bring the angle of, I hear somebody is calling the other one a patron of corruption. You know, it is those remarks are associated with Raila. The Deputy President is defending the projects, and from where he sits, I think the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is very clear. He's saying no money is lost. He's saying somebody is bastardizing the government project so that government can come out looking bad, and government can fail in its planned project for purposes of showing Kenyans that this government is not delivering. But of course, there is the backdrop of all this is that there has been a narrative, and really we must speak about it. There has been a narrative to heap all these corruption issues to the office of the Deputy President and the people around him. And you know, one needs to ask themselves, is it possible that this is happening? And then, you know, we are saying we have institutions that are supposed to be checking these things. The Deputy President seems to be working with the President, you know, every other function, they are together. There is something that we are not being told. In my view, we have politicized this issue, and while Kinoti, the DPP want to do a good job, and I believe they want to do a good job, definitely they are going to be caught up in a network of issues that they don't know and they are not able to deal with. And it is not possible, in my view, that the Deputy President is wrong on the figures. I can see, you know, the media also has its own way of reporting things. And, and there are a number of times that it has gone wrong. Because, you know, the Deputy President himself talked about 7 billion. We know the project is actually more than 7 billion. That is true. But it is not possible that all the monies of any project are paid at once.
All right. But
it is paid as a deposit. Let me finish. Because the contract even dictates how the payments will be done. The story on this page where Rotich comes out and says it's 20 billion. The media is the one that is reporting. But he's not saying the 20 billion. The media is not able, in my view, to discern at what stages that money has been paid. If you look at, I've read one place where they are saying the monies paid out so far are monies paid out before the work, as far as the contract is concerned, before the work starts. Design itself, investigations for this kind of projects, it's huge work. But, you know, we are saying we have paid 20 billion or 7 billion, and then what we are being shown is this particular land. Of course, if it's a design work, it will not be on the land. But we should be asking, is the design ready? When was it supposed to be ready? How much is the design costing? What is the consultancy fee? What are the preliminary preparations required to come up with this project?
Right.
And we're not talking about one project. We are actually talking about very, very many projects,
right, but you can
attached
see
together.
Right.
So the investigations.
This is where we get all the confusion.
This is where we get all the confusion.
Because
and
the deputy,
no,
just a moment. We have the Deputy President going full steam ahead and saying this is actually 7 billion shillings. We have Rotich coming again and saying it's actually 20 billion shillings. Rotich negates Ruto on dam scam. Why is the government not seeing eye to eye on the same issue? Right? And he asked a very pertinent question. I mean, who is the accounting officer? Is it the Deputy President or actually
the Deputy President, where he
himself?
sits, he's extremely informed in terms of how much has been spent, for what purpose. And you see, in fact, I had one person asking, why should the Deputy President be answering? Yep. I think even the President normally answers, especially when things reach a point where Kenyans are concerned. Because eventually, the buck will stop at those offices. Right. So in my view, Debarl, I refuse, because I have seen and I have heard very many things being said about what will happen, what will be done to the Deputy President. They are even preparing to say that they will be taking him to court. I mean, you know, this is all politics.
Who are saying they'll take him to court?
I don't have the names, but I know that is part of the strategy. To just mess up his name. I mean, people are afraid. Why can't, you know, let me ask you, where is the opposition in this? Where is the opposition? Is the opposition in government, or is the opposition checking the government? Is the opposition not right inside the government right now? This country is actually living in a fraudulent state, because while we as a constitutional arrangement country, we have an opposition that is supposed to be...
If the opposition is in government, so they have to be mealy-mouthed about what the ails or what bedevils this country.
I think the conspiracy that is happening there is between the government, part of the government, and the opposition to demonize the Deputy President. And I'm very clear about this. You see, we should let Kinoti then come up with the investigations. What stage are the investigations? The media is all over. This case has been determined.
All right.
Yeah, this
so
case
if the
has
investigation is ongoing,
yeah.
The question will be again, if the investigation is ongoing, then why will the Deputy President really come forth and speak about the same issue?
Because the media has already published a lot of information, and Kenyans would want a response. Yes. All right. And possibly this information is being leaked, maybe by the office of the director. Who is leaking the information? Who is bringing the information?
Which
and not leaking whether it's good or bad, but who is bringing the information at this stage, and for what purpose, and who is actually arranging all these responses from the media.
Fantastic. Let's see from Okongo Mogeni, you hold with a view, you think this is being politicized, and the opposition also is not in the spirit of handshake. So this is not handshake completely. This is destruction.
You know, Debarl, this country we are a very interesting country. And I was in church yesterday, and you know, a preacher was talking about these kind of scandals. And he said he wants to remind us politicians that the 8th commandment says, "Thou shalt not steal." And I think what Kinoti is doing is trying to keep in line with that commandment. He's trying to say that if there is anybody who has stolen from the people of Kenya,
yes,
I'll go after him. But, you know, Debarl, let's bring this issue to the public domain. You're talking about a situation where a cabinet sits and designs a project in terms of building dams in Aro and Kimwarer. And then it is alleged that a cabinet secretary who was in that meeting quickly picked the idea. He went to Marakwet. He bought land for 1B. And then 3 months down the line, he resold this land to the government through Kerio Valley Development Authority at shillings 6.3B. And in the process, he made 5B. Now, if in a country like Kenya, you want to tell us that such a CS should continue occupying office, then we should all sing for the coming of Jesus Christ.
And this is insider trading.
That is insider trading. That's insider trading. You are peddling influence. You pick an idea from your privileged position as a CS, and then you quickly rush out there and in collusion with another leader, a senator, you buy the land and then you sell it back to government and you make 5B as profit. I mean, honestly, that's not somebody who should be occupying any government position. We cannot say that is politics. However you look at it, it can never be politics. That is inappropriate conduct. That's not somebody should be holding a public office. That is somebody, the Constitution of Kenya 2010, chapter 6, does not want to see continuing being in office. And if you read this scandal, ask yourself, Debarl, you are building a dam. If you read the People, page 6, somebody was told to supply wine.
Yes.
Worth 15 million. What does wine got to do with building of a dam? If you read down there, there is cutlery worth 8 million. What does that got to do with the building of a dam?
Yeah, that is 8 million
to
an office in Eldoret.
Yes.
Well, another delivered towels worth 22
million.
CMC
I mean,
Ravenna constructed them.
You cannot fault Kinoti. There is something that stinks there.
All right.
If you go to Nation, Debarl, the person who is alleged to have signed this contract actually said he had long left working for CMC. Mr. Cabro says that by the time that contract was being signed, he had left and was working in Zambia. In Zambia. Now, isn't that something that stinks? What kind of politics can you read on a very good investigator like the DCI, who's bringing all these things to the public limelight? Debarl, this is something that should ache the conscience of all Kenyans. In fact, if you remember last week, the president was somewhere in Kiambu, and he warned the judiciary. He said, guys, if you don't deal with this issue of corruption decisively, you are courting a revolution. I mean, this is annoying, Debarl, and I think any of us who is a leader should be worried that if we continue with these kind of scandals, Debarl, this country will never achieve its dreams of Vision 2030. It will even be impossible to achieve the 4 key pillars in President Uhuru's vision in the second term. So I think, in all fairness, let's not introduce politics in a matter like this.
All right. You think we can uncouple politics from this if there is a revelation of 5 billion shillings being blotted?
I want to tell my colleague that you cannot divorce politics from this, because politics will be used to fight. If any person with potential, who has an interest in politics, if you want to move on to the next office, if you want to even retain the office that you are holding, you would expect that anything that happens around you would be turned into politics. If there are projects under your watch, certainly, and there is anything amiss, people will play politics with it. And so when I see the former PM saying that let's not politicize this and the rest, I think it's really wasting our time. And even when I see other colleagues in Jubilee also saying that let's not allow politics into this, I think it's just hot air. And I have listened to my senior, Omogeni, and we must make sure that we are not delivering lectures in classrooms.
I mean, who is giving a lecture?
How we should fight corruption.
I'm just reading what is in the public.
Yes, and I am. If you allow me,
that's not a lecture.
Allow me. It's a good lecture. It's a lecture that can help us fight corruption when we eventually get to office. It's not good in an office because you see, I don't have any issues with the media, with this newspaper. But when you put out statements there, if you're talking of a particular CS, why not name the CS? When you start hiding the CS in the media, it means you have no confidence in what you are saying, and you have not done thorough investigation. You're just trying to raise emotions. What they are actually arranging to have happened, if this actually happened, then I think the Constitution clearly says that conflict of interest is an offense, and somebody should be taken to court if this, what is reported in this newspaper, happened. But they would have been bold enough to tell us which CS. If there is a person who is aware that the government is about to buy RAD, and you go and buy it so that you can sell it again to the same government, that's already a criminal offense. And I don't want to say the law is clear. And there are legal provisions that prohibit that. And if this happened, this person must be put to task. And actually, that person should not be holding office by now. But Debarl, I want to go back to to the cautionary statement I issued at the beginning.
Yes.
And again, you can actually see in the newspapers that you have given us, the study standard. When you go to page 9 of the study standard.
Study standard?
Yes, there is a press release there, and you can even see even the 7.8 billion that has been mentioned by the 7 billion that has been mentioned by the DP is also mentioned. You can see it's featured in that press release by the National Treasury and Planning, CS, Henry Rotich. And he's given, you see, I said at the beginning, we need to understand the stages that you go through when you're implementing a project. And Kenyans need to be told those stages. Then we see at what point have we lost the money. It's there. And this is the study standard. At what point have we lost the amount of money that is alleged to have been lost? So that you can actually bring to book the specific officers who will be responsible for that loss. You see, and I think we really are making a lot of lecherous statements. As you are trying to, you've picked it. I want you to get there.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm trying
to
achieve it. I will get it. Yes.
As you are getting there, yeah, you can also see some lecherous statements. Jubilee MP say Uhuru is like a hyena eating his own children. Very silly statements that we make when we are out there burying others. It's again in the Star. These kind of statements, they are very good to report. The media will capture them. So Kenyans will be happy when they are being given these kind of statements. But they really also depict the quality of leadership that is one is having when you say that. I don't know whether you picked it. I want you to look at what Rotich is saying. And he's saying it is important to note that the above fees were paid to various actors and not just the contractor. Who received, the contractor received 7.8 billion for both dams. So he's confirming the contractor received 7.8 billion shillings, among other people who received. And he's saying these payments are paid in all credits acquired by the government under export credit arrangements, as well as other loans. All the above costs and expenses, including advance payments, were provided for in the financing facility agreement for the dams. The payment was financed from the facility as part of the loan and not from the normal national exchequer funding. Of course, he's trying to say that this is money that came from the loan. It is not his ministry that paid out this money.
So
but what I'm also trying to
which
bring...
paragraph are you reading? Because
I was reading at... are you there?
Yeah, we have it on the screen.
It's on page 9.
Yeah, we're there. So we have it on the
Number
screen.
11.
Number 11.
Yes. What he's confirming is that the 7.8 billion shillings was paid out. And it was paid, that is what was paid to the contractor. I'm trying to say, you know, the question is...
Is it the same? If we just put it back?
Yeah. Where is the... Yes, that's the one. Go to number 11, paragraph 11. I don't know, that's the way
I can't see paragraph 11. This is 10, which
Go
one?
to 11 is the next page.
Is the next page.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see it there. So the 7.8 billion that the DP may have been talking about is there. And he's saying 7.8 billion which was paid for both dams. This is the money that was paid to the contractor. Rotich is going further to then telling us where was the other, who received the balance of the money of about 12.2 billion.
Okay.
You can, the breakdown is all there in this kind of. So there is a very good breakdown of who received what and for what purpose, and what what we should be allowing is Kinoti to now go to the details of these payments.
All right.
Tell us, is there? Do we have a person?
It's a bit tricky.
Do we have a contractor?
Yes.
Do we have a designer? Do we have an engineer who was paid before or for reasons other than what he should have been paid for? If we have insider trading like the 6.3 billion,
yes,
we need that CS put to book. And I hope we can get the name of the CS. And if the CS is there, he knows himself he should resign. Because already this is insider trading. But again, don't lose sight of the conclusion. You can't get it, but let me read it. Of what wrote is, in conclusion, we would like to stress that all projects, whether domestic or externally funded, are implemented in strict adherence to the law and in accordance with the commercial and financing agreements. In this particular case, if there were any breaches, the ongoing investigations will capture them. More importantly, any information provided to the public through the media should be accurate and credible. The National Treasury stands ready to provide any required information with regard to the financing of the project. I am saying this, Debarl. We must start. We must all start and support the fight against corruption. I am saying also that we should not keep telling Kenyans that keep politics out of it. Politics will be net, without doubt. If you are looking at 2022 like the DP is looking at, he certainly should expect any other person who has interest, declared or otherwise, to use any reason to try and get him out of the way. And that's why you can see people saying, let us get him to resign, or the Jubilee government to resign. And equally, even the former Prime Minister should expect to get attacked on anything that comes his way. And then, but what is important is to allow, one is that when we are reporting, we should be accurate. Let us not just pick on the sensational statements that are made and leave out the preambles, because in sensational reporting, of course, you sell. But let's also make sure that we allow Kinoti to go to the depth of this. Let's support the president in fighting corruption.
Okay.
And let us also not let's not just sensationalize it. It hurts us also at the international platform. It may benefit you politically today, but the Kenyans will suffer in the long run. Debarl, we must also now look for ways of making it a criminal offense when you report things that are not accurate. Remember, NYS Kado, we were told 68 billion shillings was lost. What we have in court are people who've been sued for 21 million shillings, 30 million shillings, nothing like 68 billion. Where is the 68 billion? And I think this is the aspect that the DP was trying to address. When you tell Kenyans that we are losing in terms of billions, and it's good to let them know, but we need to be factual. Let's not just talk about the sensational figure. When we see that these figures have been insured, again, I think good reporting, I don't know, you are the one who is in the journalist. Good reporting would be helping us to see,
but the fact is,
if we are losing, let us bring it out. But if we are not losing, don't leave us looking so bad like Kenyans. Every time you are out of the country, it's like another thief has landed in this country. Be careful. It is not useful. And it will hurt you, it will hurt your children, it will hurt anybody going forward in this country. This same newspaper last week reported of money lost through CDF.
Yeah, we'll come.
Just a moment. I need to tie this up so that I can
We'll come to it. We'll come to it.
As you're saying it, let me just try this, Debarl.
I just want us to finish.
Yes. Yes, as I finish. What was the report? CDF money has been lost. And it's true it has been lost. But they failed to say what term. They could not have the courage of saying it was the 2017 audit report.
This is the 2017 audit report?
Up to June 2017 audit report. So they leave it sensational because if it is touching current members of parliament, it sells more. But that has nothing to do with the current members of parliament. This is money that was lost in the previous term. So these finer details needs to be brought out so that Kenyans can also be well informed. So is leaving them emotionally charged, and then you know.
No, but we need also to take a keener look on what is happening with the CDF, because it's
without doubt.
Yeah, and I want us just in the remaining again, maybe 20 minutes. Actually, it is
factual. Don't be emotional.
So what is factual? Because actually this was in last week's...
if that is the last week,
yeah, on Monday.
What financial year is it?
Yes, Ouko queries misuse of CDF by legislators.
And I hope you're not picking the one with the one in the nation, because the nation has picked it nicely.
No, this is what last week, and they said the most affected constituencies included Ndaragwa.
Yes.
You as Jeremiah Kioni and Nyeri Town, Gujiri and Mandera East and Bomet East. So you need to clarify on this, what is really happening.
That is 2017, June 2017. When did we come to power? When did we get to the office as MPs? I mean, that's a fact.
But it's still your office.
Yes,
yeah, it is still your office regardless. It doesn't matter who was there. It is still the office.
When it comes to criminal offense, you cannot you sue the person who committed it. When it comes to theft, you sue the persons who stole. But you see, that is the kind of reporting that not that it worries me because the facts are out there. But when you charge the country emotionally and then leave them up, and that's what we are doing with these dams.
Okay, but the question is, let's just get granular with this particular CDF management of it. As far as the constitution is concerned, under whose remit is it supposed to be? Is it the MPs? Because we've seen governors and the MPs, tagging on the projects of the CDFs, which is not in any way, because this is the national government's remit. They give the money to the CDF. It doesn't come to the MPs. It doesn't come to the governors as well. But you've been piggybacking on some of its projects to the Wananchi with the impression that, oh, this is me delivering.
No,
this is me delivering, or this is the government delivering, and this is the, I don't know. Maybe you can just give us from the constitution, where is this really coming from?
A quick one. One is that Kenyans need to know that anything being done on the ground is out of the money that they paid for as taxes.
As tax? Yes.
All that is happening, the rest are agents. And when the money is used through CDF, through the national government, or through the county government, that is money that is available to them after they have paid taxes. Two is that the agencies are there to oversee projects at different levels. We have the county government to oversee the projects that have been implemented through the devolved unit. We have the national government constituency development fund that is being overseen by the members of parliament, again with the clear legal provisions as to how it should be implemented. We have a fund manager on the ground. We have the CDFC, but people who actually do the signing.
Is it supposed to be overseen the MPs, or there's a committee? Because
I know what Omogen wants, where he wants to come in. But I want to say this.
Let me just read from the Constitution.
Yes.
There is established a national government constituency development fund committee for every constituency. Each constituency committee shall comprise, I should say, the national government officials responsible for the coordination of national government functions, 2 men, each nominated
all that. It's a
in accordance with subsection, one of whom shall be a youth at the date of appointment, 2 women nominated in accordance with subsection, one of whom shall be a youth at the date of appointment, 1 person with disability nominated by a registered group representing persons with disabilities in the constituency in accordance with subsection 3, and 2 persons nominated by the constituency officers established under regulation made pursuant to the Parliamentary Service Act. Show me where the MP actually is
and now
supposed to be managing this.
Even comes the other question. Why is it that the Auditor General is dragging in the name of the MP? I think you are trying to confirm what I'm saying. Okay. However, let me say this. You cannot divorce the Constituency Development Fund from the area member of parliament, for the reason that traditionally they have been involved in suggesting projects with public participation, and perhaps even oversighting those projects, and including, and I want to say this because I was in Naivasha when we discussed this issue of CDF in the Constitution. It was impossible at Naivasha to try and kill CDF. And I want my senior here to get this. You cannot kill a model that is working for this country.
Why are you
You
pointing
cannot. I know. I'm trying to address your previous statements in the last couple of weeks and months. You cannot kill that CDF.
We have to share the time.
All right, yes.
To weigh in on that particular point. You see, you were asking where the role of the MPAs in putting up the panel that actually comes up in the NCDF Act. Well, you are putting up the panel that prepares the committee, that vets the committee, puts in place the NCDF committee. The member of parliament is entitled to actually give, I believe, two panelists in that panel. The DCC is also there, and I think that, and also the office, the planning ministry, the office of the treasury has also a representation. But the bottom line, and Kenyans need to know, there is nowhere that the member of parliament signs any checks of the NGCDF. That is the correct position. We don't sign. And that's why Kioni is saying, why does it, why, when the law is very clear, why does the performance of the CDF, when it is questioned, then it becomes the MP who is actually has stolen or is not implementing the project properly. The implementing agency there, or body, is the committee.
Yeah.
And but whenever the CDF goes wrong, whenever the work is not well done, whenever there is a question of development or issues concerning the public in the constituency, the stopgap, the office of the MP is the one that is questioned. And therefore, where there is a credit, I don't see what is wrong with the members of parliament taking credit, because you cannot leave that. If it is misused, you can be sure the member of parliament will get the backlash from the public. And they are not interested with the law. So therefore, there is no way the member of parliament can sit and watch the funds being misused. And I believe that our role is actually oversight to ensure that the implementation of the projects selected by the community are properly implemented. So for me, and I agree with Jeremiah, there is no way we are going to finish the CDF. Whatever court judgments will come, the CDF is the only money, and I want to go on record, that actually has no bureaucracy and has very little losses in terms of implementation, because the community will bring a classroom requirement. They want it to be built. The minute you just, you call the public works to give you the estimates, and you bring all those projects to the national board. The board approves all those projects, so there is no loss, really. You can have implementation problems, but this, I think Ouko there is basically playing politics.
All right, let's say from Okongo Mogini.
Yeah, I think first to sum up the issue we have been discussing, I don't know why we keep dropping the number of the DP, because I've not seen anybody who has said the DP has stolen money.
No, it's all over.
So, I mean,
unless
you want to say
it is all over.
No,
and we reject
it's innuendo.
I agree.
It's still
That's
speculation.
innuendo. So I don't know why he's coming out.
Yeah.
Because if somebody had come out and said the DP has been paid this much, then I'll say maybe there's politics. But nobody has mentioned your name.
Let me read this
anyway.
so that you continue.
But going to the bigger picture,
No. That is from a politician.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
Forget about that.
Yeah, from nobody.
No, from the DCI. No. You guys want to introduce. You want to introduce politics to a process that is being done professionally by the director of the DCI, which is very unfortunate. But I think going back to this issue of National Government Constitutional Development Fund, I think Mheshimiwa here, Wahome, has put it, the way it is captured legally. I go to meetings on the ground, and you find an MP comes and says, today I'm here because I brought you checks. There is nowhere, the way she has put it, there is nowhere where a member of parliament signs any National Government Constitutional Development Fund checks. In fact, Debarl, the people who are on the driver's seat in terms of bringing development to the people, in terms of the constituency, is a committee that is supposed to be recruited competitively. After each election, an advert should be placed to the public, and anybody interested, as long as you have a D+, you can apply to be a member of the NGCDF committee.
That That's the old law.
How do you pick committee members? You create a panel. Yes. And once you create that panel, you are supposed to please another.
Names. You don't apply anymore. You propose names.
Okay. I stand corrected.
And
I think
that was there in 2013, 2014. It brought a lot of issues.
Anyway, that notwithstanding, Debarl, the people who should pick projects, what should be done at the constituency level is that committee. After they have held consultative meetings with the people. It's not for the area member of parliament to come and tell the people, now, I'm going to bring this project. Public participation is what should guide the priorities that that committee should give to a particular constituency. And the only role that Act gives to an MP is to say, when the committee is issuing checks for particular project, they can invite the member of parliament to come and witness the issuance of those checks. So I don't know why we keep hyping this thing that CDF is a fund for the MP.
No, it's not.
As Kioni has put it,
I think
that is
in Kisii they have a problem.
That is taxpayers' money, and that is money that is being brought to an end by the national government that should be used for advancement of projects at the constituency level by the national government.
And
I think
Senate
it's good.
has no issue with it.
It's good that Kenyans.
I hope
ought
Senate
to
has
know.
no issue with it.
No, we have. I mean, I think what we need to do is public. We just need to do civic education for the people to understand that that power to manage that fund is with them, them the people. And let me tell you, last week I had a fund manager who was coming to me for legal representation, because I think there has been an interdiction of about 13 of them
13
because
or
of
40?
this. 40. You can
40
hear
of
that
them.
debate.
Yes.
40 fund managers are facing investigation for misuse of NGCDF money. And one of them came to me and he was telling me, you know, me, I'm being accused falsely because what I was doing, I was being told by the member of parliament. And I told him, my friend, you should have read the law, because there is nowhere where you will catch a member of parliament in NGCDF. The only person you can go after is the fund manager or the committee if it did implementation of projects without really following the law. But finally, what should be of concern, really, is the way we implement these projects. If you read the Nation, the back page, it brings out a case of duplication of roles by the county government and by the national government through NGCDF. You can see there that in a constituency in Nairobi, the county government was putting up an advert to fix a road. And the same road was again being fixed by the NGCDF. Now the question you should ask Debarl, how can two entities serving the same government be repairing the same road, two parallel tenders?
No, but that can only be 2013, 2014, 2015, because we don't do roads anymore.
Just a minute.
We can only do a school road.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
You know, you don't do roads, but we have Kera roads.
But that has nothing to do with NGCDF.
No.
Yeah.
You pick 4 representatives who sit in Kera. The county government also is doing rehabilitation of the same road. So what the point I'm making, if we care about the people of Kenya, is that we need to align these functions so that we don't have wastage, we don't create loopholes for wastage of public funds.
Omugeni, if
that
you
one without
care,
doubt.
If
And I
you
need
care,
it. Just a moment.
If Omugeni cares and he's not having issues with this fund because as the senator they don't have a fund. If they care about this fund,
but
they should.
This is not
finish.
NGCDF.
You have said your part.
Just give a chance.
No. I think there is a point.
Let me finish.
Just a moment.
There is a point
We should strengthen.
Allow her. Remember, it was my
We
chance.
should strengthen this particular fund because, honestly speaking, whether it's a national government level, it's a national government fund that is, as Kioni said, one of the best models with very little bureaucracy and reaches the people within the shortest time possible. And it is dealing with those issues that the national government will never. The county government has its own money, but it has its own challenges in terms of procurement. But once a committee approves a project, with estimates being given to them, within a month or two, the project is implemented. We have huge headache ourselves as MPs dealing with requests.
But this non-verbal...
So we in fact, we should, and members of parliament also, should increase this fund to a level that will help the communities that we represent deal with those things that the government and the county government will never actually ever do. Right now, there is infrastructure issues on education. Debarl, huge transition. All the children are expected to report to Form 1s. There are no classrooms. It's only CDF that can come quickly if we had sufficient funds. And within 2 months, you can have a classroom.
But who come up with these non-viable projects?
Yes,
because there's a committee and you're the people who now endorse. So
no, you know sometimes Debarl. Okay, sometimes a member of parliament may be there only for 5 years. Then the following year, there may be another MP comes. And because MPs have an influence, they have an influence.
You know, you are the people's representative. And I can tell you, even in my own constituency, members of the public have even told me that it is you we elected. Don't tell us about any other person, including the county project. And they say, as our member of parliament, what is happening to this particular project? And even that project, in terms of implementation, perhaps is under the constituency, the county government. But I want to say this, Debarl. Any government that will do away with the CDF will be the weakest government that Kenyans will ever have put in place. We have other countries in Africa, including some developed ones, which are trying to copy this model. Because 95% of the money that is allocated goes to development. Only 5% goes to recurrent. Look at the county government. 70% of the money allocated goes to recurrent. Only some 30% of the amount is used for development. You cannot do away with a model that which is delivering to Kenyans. You cannot do away with it. And I want to say this again.
But as MPs
even
and the
at
governors,
the constitution-making level,
you want to show your face to these projects.
Because
we've had governors, and there's been a row between governors and members of parliament because the governor is riding.
I haven't finished. I have not finished. Let me say this.
Just finish, yes.
And you are not going to, the president does not also move around. He doesn't sign any checks. But he's there talking about projects that his government is implementing. So you can't divorce the two. You cannot, I think it's such an academic thing to say that the member of parliament should not be there when, even when the checks are being taken by the chairman of CDFC and you're sitting there, he will say as the area member of parliament, present these checks on our behalf. It's some honor that is given to the positions and you expect it to come. Now look at this headline again, that one. Billions wasted in non-viable CDF projects. Total up the amount of money that he has picked there in that report. It doesn't run into billions. This is just another sensational, emotional. Money is being lost. I agree.
But
Debarl,
do you have any empirical evidence that it doesn't run into billions?
Yes.
Yeah, that you can actually table this morning and tell us.
Because this, Debarl, if there was billions of shillings lost, it will be the figure that you have mentioned there. You deliberately picked the word billions so that Kenyans can read it, and of course it makes better sales. It's just and money has been lost. I know this is what the DP said, and everybody in the country wants to bash him for that. Money has been lost, and it is. But you look at the amount of money that is being reported there and the headline, and these are two different things. You are not going to get. It is. I want to say I don't believe that money being lost through CDF is in the billions. It is still money that should never be lost. But the benefit that we are getting from this model outweighs any this kind of a headline. The Auditor General must do his work. He must bring out where we are losing the few 100,000 shillings that we are losing. But again, we should not try to demonize working models.
But we rely on the auditors.
So
are you raising accusatory fingers to the Auditor General coming up? Because this
I am worried about also, by the way. You see this kind of headlines.
This is information coming from the Auditor General himself.
Look at this one at Debarl. Billions being lost, 6.3 billion lost.
The Auditor General Kioni is sometimes very impractical.
We're supposed to be winding up.
It's very impractical, for example. Because that's a point. I just want to give one example that he picks as if it's a loss. You know, when you issue checks, when the checks by the committee are issued to schools, the schools are expected to bring receipts. And you know, you are actually giving checks to the whole country because children from your constituency could be in Homa Bay, could be in Madeira, could be in Marsabit. If the auditors come to the office and find that the receipts have not arrived, that becomes a query. Because when you see there, He's talking about query and non-verb.
Yeah. We need
and
to differentiate.
a lot, 30% of the CDF money actually goes to bursaries. So he will find maybe 20% of the receipts have not come and they have no way of ever reaching the CDF office. It becomes a query.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We need to be winding up.
I think
Let's just give our closing remarks, please. This will act as your closing remarks,
I
please.
think the only thing you need to note is that in about 40 of the officers, the accounting officers in NGCDF management from 40 constituencies have been interdicted for misappropriation of public funds. And I think what the auditor here says is that projects cannot be verified while others do not benefit common man. Nobody is against CDF. What we are saying is that we need proper management of NGCDF. We need to empower the committees that are in charge of NCDF. We need to have civic education so that the people understand that that committee is theirs. It is them who should actually be, guiding the project that should be given priority. What the MP does is what I can do. Why should I be against NGCDF? Because even as a senator, I'm a stakeholder, I'm an elected leader. That fund is not for anybody. That fund is from the national government.
Thank you.
And I can also make my presentation to the committee, and I've done it.
Right.
So I have no problem with the fund, but I've a problem in terms of people who want to micromanage the way it should be run.
All right.
If we give the people a chance to run that fund, it's a very good model.
Let's say from your closing remarks as well?
Yes.
30 seconds.
One, as the CDF board needs to be appointed for so many number of years, there has not been a board. And that may be explaining why there are some difficulties in managing the CDF. Two is the fund manager always, even when they are being represented by Omugeni, let them know that there is an elected person and the Kenyans will be talking to that person they elected. We do not want to go back to they used to be called district development committees of Nyachai that really gave rise to this CDF. And finally, I think the most important thing is what has been said by the DP here. Constructions of dams will continue. That is the most important thing. And again, we want to make sure that no money is lost, but we want the dams done. That is what will benefit the Kenyans.
Right. Let's hear from Alice Wahome.
Well, I want to say that at the rate we are going, with the headlines that we are bringing, sensationalizing government projects, is actually bringing the Jubilee government in very bad light. And I think we must be careful of the manner in which we are handling that. And we are likely to lose the war against corruption if we shall draw and bring in politics in the manner in which we are doing it. Secondly, I want to say that when Kenyans think about all these issues, they must not go very far from the 2022 politics. And I think that is the biggest agenda of some of these agents. What they are driving at and looking at is actually 2022. So I think it is time that we became honest to Kenyans and say what we are now planning here with all this hula baru is actually looking for the successor of the 2022 office of the president.
Thank you.
And for me,
30 seconds.
I have an issue with your reporting last week on the 2/3. You know, we were supposed to talk a bit on the loss of the country by the 2/3 gender bill last week. You reported that there were only, again, not factual, that we had only 20 women in the National Assembly when the bill was voted for. The Nation newspaper owes the Kenyan women and Kenyans an apology because we were 59 members of parliament, women members of parliament.
Thank you.
Now,
right, we need to wind up with this.
Lost this.
Don't
lose this.
No, we start for time.
Leaders from us our areas start push against the solution of boundaries. This is another scandal. If we don't adhere to the formula in the constitution, that is still corruption.
Thank you.
We need to align our boundaries.
Right, thank you. We need to wind up quickly.
Formula in the constitution.
Right, I'll be remiss if I don't also read one or two tweets as we're winding up quickly. We have Obunga Apamo saying that we can't blame the media here. Kenyans deserve to know what's happening. The numbers in the media tally with the numbers at the DCI exactly the same way the media reported numbers from IBC. We have Dr. Jen Omwenge saying, Honorable Alice Wahome speaks with facts. She talks like 10 men combined. Keep representing as Mheshimiwa Alice. Also, John Githanga says corruption in Kenya today is not seen as a vice that's constricting this country's economy to death. It's perceived as a quick buck sport and a fashionable trend. Patriotism is a long-forgotten national value. Muturi Gashanja says, Kenyans be like, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, let's just call it a turkey. If a man is corrupt, let him be called so. If he's not, let him prove. But the man you want to call a turkey now is walking and quacking a lot of quacking like a duck. And Daniel Masi saying, Jeremiah Kioni calls the Congo expression of view a lecturer. What do we call his? Right? He's just wondering. And we have Blemwell and Juriri saying, disclosure being made over Elgeyo Marakwet dams are finally exposing the culture of corruption, which runs in the blood of some politicians in Kenya who believe every Kenyan has a prize and corruption money does the trick. Many are to be found in the Rift Valley, and more are there. But we just also want to, update you on the breaking news that we have this morning. This is in regard to the plane crash or the chopper crash that happened this morning. One of DP Ruto's pilot, this is Mario Magonga, and 4 Americans have been killed after a plane crash in Central Island National Park, Turkana. That is an information we didn't have, but now it has come to hand and we have to relay that to you. I just want also to just put up a picture so that you can see who Mario was, just from my laptop here. I'll try and there you go. This is one of DP Ruto's pilot, Mario Magonga, and it says 4 Americans also were killed after a plane crash in Central Island National Park, Turkana. This is a story that we continue to follow for you, and we'll give you more details in our subsequent bulletins here on NTV Today, NTV Sasa, NTV at 1 as well, and the rest of the subsequent bulletins during the day for you to just get a full scoop of what really happened. Information on what really happened to the plane is a bit scanty right now. We don't know if it was the weather, so we don't want to leave it to speculation. As soon as we get any expert information on this, we shall relay that to you. But our deepest sympathy and sincere condolences to the family of Mario Maganga. We here at NTV condole with you. Thank you very much for your valued company. You've been watching AM Live. My name is Debarl Inea.